Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Real Life Love. As I promised, I am going to be kind of pulling a page from some of the themes and conversations that typically come up in the coaching sessions I have with my clients, and also to kind of work in some of the content that's relevant from my own life. So, as you know, I talk a lot about self love. It is absolutely the cornerstone and the foundation of any solid, loving, thriving relationship that we have. But aside from being a concept, what is it really to have a healthy, loving relationship with ourselves? One of the places that I certainly know I've struggled, and I have to say, pretty much to varying degrees, every single woman that I've worked with struggles is around the issue of body image, distorted body image, not really loving or liking their physical shape, having a contentious or difficult relationship with food. I mean, it's really just endemic in our culture. I don't really have to tell you that. At the same time, at the other side of that, like when we find freedom with something that we encounter every day, which is nourishing our bodies, there's not only incredible freedom, but there's also a real sense of liberation and coming into right relationship with something that is a vital part of our nourishment. So, just a little kind of background how it's been for me. When I was fairly young, there was some stuff going on in my family that was, difficult for me. And I didn't really have the words or the language to be able to talk about it, or the kind of the container in my family to do that. So I internalized a lot of those feelings, and I kind of placed them on my body. And I had kind of like a pretty strongly distorted body image when I was a little girl. And then that kind of worked itself out for the most part. And then when I was 13, I started dancing pretty seriously. And that was really good for me in a lot of ways. But, as a dancer, especially as a ballet dancer, there's a certain look that goes along with that. And I wanted to, have that look. So while the physical aspect of that was really healthy, it set up a certain kind of challenge in my relating with food. And I spent a lot of my 20s and a good portion of my 30s kind of finding my way into right relationship with food and with my body. And there has been a whole process in that. And that's why one of the modules in my program with women is really devoted to coming into right relationship with food, with your body, with the messages that you give and say to yourself. Because as wonderful as it is to have a man or a friend or somebody reflecting back, how gorgeous you are, how much they love your ass, or whatever that might be, if we don't really believe that, there's no amount of positive affirmation that anybody can say that will really get in and have an impact. So one of the ways that not liking our body shows up with food is it creates kind of this antagonistic rather than a friendly relationship. There's often this belief that food is going to make me fat, food is going to make me ill, food is going to make my jeans tight. There's good food and there's bad food. And one of the most liberating things that I did many, many years ago is I just completely took those labels off. Peanut butter was no longer a bad food. Ice cream was no longer a bad food. It was really more about how did it feel in my body? How much pleasure did I derive from eating it? And most importantly, what were the messages that I then compounded the eating experience with from my beliefs? So instead of eating a bowl of ice cream and then going into this whole kind of, excuse my language, mind fuck about, I shouldn't have had that or da 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 da. It's like just really letting myself turn that around and rest in savoring the delight and the pleasure. And that is really my go-to today, especially if I eat something that kind of there's this consensus that it's bad for us or it's fattening. I absolutely do not believe in this concept of fattening. So the other day I was eating something that was very gooey and cheesy, and it was absolutely delicious. And cheese isn't something that I eat a whole lot of because it doesn't agree with me very often. I can get away with it once in a while. And so later on, I was noticing that my mind, doing what my mind does, it was kind of wanting to tell me I shouldn't have had that, blah, blah, blah. And what I did is I just directed my attention to how pleasurable it was. That was the only place that I let my attention go, was just how yummy and delicious and satisfying. And I was doing that while I was eating it also, very, very conscientiously. And what that does is it redirects my attention. And I feel like it literally imbues the food with goodness. It allows it to be potent with goodness and with nourishment, rather than with, oh, this is bad for me, I shouldn't have, this is going to go to my hips, this is not going to give me a tummy ache, right? So I really want you to give this a try, because I think you will be delighted to discover how much what we think about anything, but certainly what we think about food, both while you're eating it and after you've eaten it. Anytime you have a negative belief, a condemning belief, I want you to redirect your attention to what felt really satisfying about it. And the other thing that you'll discover is that sometimes you might be eating something because you think you crave it. Maybe you think you have a craving for sweets. If you're not really fully enjoying anything that you're eating, don't eat it. Life is too short to eat stuff that we don't really enjoy. And see if when you are eating, you can really amp up the pleasure by bringing your attention to it, by giving yourself permission to enjoy it, by being present to the sensations and the textures. I mean, I'm a foodie, and that doesn't mean that I eat all the time, but it definitely means that I enjoy good food and I enjoy healthy food, but I like the experience of taking in food. So you got to be present to really have that experience, right? So give this a try, and my calendar is actually almost full right now, but this is something that I am really committed to helping you as a woman not spend any more time hating your body, being in a difficult relationship with food. So if you are, I know that it's getting in the way. It's probably getting in the way in some way, a relationship. It certainly did with mine. I will make time for you. Let's have a conversation, 30-minute chat. It could really change things for you, because I've worked a lot with this. I'm really good at it. So I wish you a wonderful day. Please leave your comments, your questions, your discoveries in the comments below. Bye.